Represent herself here today. Is that all accurate and true, Ms. White?
Yes,
And so you feel comfortable being able to represent yourself in this case and to move forward that way?
yes.
Okay. And your agent is not here either. And so I guess I do have information as to your payments so far. And the victims are here, victims. So it's in victims' rights compliance. Ms. White, in looking at what the payments you've made, it appears that you've made all of the payments in the last year. Is that correct?
Yes,
And even last year, I increased the payment from, I believe, 500 to 750 a month. Is that correct?
yes,
And you've made every single payment from our last hearing, November 30th until today?
right. I did get a call from Mr. Benson one day that the church was wanted to take a mortgage out because they said they did not get their December payment. And all that my agent says to me is it's a process. I pay it on or about the 20th of every month. That one did not clear my bank until December 23rd. I had been in Minneapolis with my husband. He was in the hospital for a week down there at Abbott. So I paid it as soon as I got home because I didn't have the numbers and stuff with me to do it there. So they probably got that early in January, but all Wendy ever says is it's a process and it takes time.
Okay. All right. As of last year, you owed $46,742 and some odd cents. And I believe from the accountings that I have here today that it has now been dropped down to $38,492 and some cents. So you still owe a significant amount.
I understand that.
And so let me understand, I just need to understand some things. You're married, correct?
Yes.
How long you've been married?
38 years.
38 years. And it's my understanding that in your new home that you moved to in Tomahawk, that the home is owned, but it's in your husband's name alone.
Right. Well, actually the property is in both of our names, but he is the only one on the title for the actual home.
Okay, and so the home is built on that property.
It's a manufactured home. It was put there, yes.
Okay, all right. So, and we are in Wisconsin, the state of Wisconsin, which is a joint marital property state. And even though your name's not on there technically, you still do own it. Okay, what other assets and property do you have or do you own?
That's it.
That's it? That's the bulk of your estate? Okay. Do the victims wish to make any statement? If they do, then you can come up to either one. You can go to that table right there and make a statement.
I have a copy of letters that have gone back and forth, or emails. Do you want them or?
I don't need them.
Okay. My name is Mike Downing from Bethany.
Can you hear him?
Sorry.
You need to sit and be in the
sit here.
microphone.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. My name is Michael Downing, and I'm from Bethany. There's a couple of things I'd like to say from the victim standpoint. One is it's in here, the letters and the emails that have gone back and forth. The $500 to the $750 in December was one issue. And yes, it was brought up that it was a letter here from Anderson, attorney at law, that Mrs. White was ordered by the court to increase payments to $750 on November 30th, and the client only received $500. And sending a letter saying that I'm here to collect that debt. Then the $250 was paid. Okay. According to Adams, she said that she could only pay $500 maximum on the 19th of January. She could only pay $500 maximum through probation, but then did make the $250 and the $750 totally. But that was one issue. That was it. The second thing is you had encouraged here the last time we were here that Miss White and Bethany try to work together about this title thing and a lien on the property. I may not have the exact term, but that's, and encouraged it and encouraged it and encouraged it. We received nothing, zero contact from Miss White. So again, the Anderson attorney at law sent a letter suggesting we do this, okay? To put Bethany, I don't know, I would assume it would be some kind of second lien because the original mortgage holder would be the first lien against it. And what came back was that Ms. White had said that the proposed mortgage and note, she has no interest in signing one as she already has a life insurance policy payable to the church to cover the remaining restitution and judgment. So those were two separate issues in January. They were not the same issue. Okay. One was the 500 to 750. The second one was to deal with trying to put this on. And again, we as the victim had to contact her. And we're told that she had no interest in doing it. The second thing we had here is the life insurance policy. I don't know how many times, I know there's at least 2 different court instances where multiple times you have directed Ms. White to provide us a copy of that life insurance. We're still waiting. We have never received a copy of that life insurance policy. There is no documentation whatsoever that says whether that is a whole life policy or an accidental life policy. There is a huge difference. If that's an accidental policy and Ms. White gets in a car accident, it's going to pay. If she has a heart attack and dies, and I'm not being mean, I'm just being, that's how they pay, it's not going to pay a nickel. We have asked over and over, and you have directed her and her lawyers over and over to provide us that information. And to this day, we have received nothing, zero. The other thing that with that policy, has that been paid on time the same way the restitution has been paid? There's no record. We have no way of knowing that. None. And if you take away the probation, why, who's to say she's going to pay it? No way of knowing whether she's going to pay that life insurance policy, or at this point, even if it's the correct life insurance policy. There's nothing, zero. Okay. And I think from a victim standpoint, and I know this may not be from a court standpoint, this is restitution. This is not a fine. If I come up and I stole your purse, and I think this speaks for a lot of how the congregation sees it, and going out here, the bailiff got me, and I stole $100 out of it, and I gave you $50 back. I don't think you'd be too happy. I still have the $50 that I stole because I stole 100 and I gave 50 back. And I think that's, in very layman's terms, how an awful lot of the congregation feels about this from a financial standpoint. She has her assets. She has that. Take a second loan. Take a home equity loan. Pay your people back. Now, if that can't be done, but to say that she is simply, oh, I'll pay it back. How many different times was the church told that these reports were fine? This was not a one-time instance where someone wrote one bad check. This was multiple times over an extended period of time. And it was not, oh, I'm sorry I did it. It was, I got caught. And once I got caught, I'm sorry. I have one last thing that I'd like to ask. And if I'm wrong in this, I apologize. But to my understanding, and if I'm wrong again, please tell me, I'm just, this is my understanding, is that Miss White attributes her behaviors to some type of gambling issue. And what that is, I don't know, but my understanding is that is sort of what's been presented and understanding. And okay, this was a problem, it's a disease, however you want to call it, it's some kind of a gambling issue. And I would like to ask the court to verify in the 4 or 5 or 6 years, whatever this keeps going on with, since this initially started, okay, 16, I think. Okay, I'm not exact, whatever the date is.
Years.
10 years?
10 years.
Okay. If there is truly a gambling issue, how many times has Miss White been in gambling casinos since then? How many times has she been in them? She never been in them? She still goes in them? I think that's a reasonable request from a victim standpoint. If a person's saying, pity me because I have a gambling issue, am I still going in them? And I like that under oath. And I think from a victim standpoint, that's what an awful lot of congregation feels. And that's why we want the probation to continue, because once you take that away, we're right back to the same person that was there 10 years ago.
I appreciate your comments as a victim. I don't appreciate them as a Christian, quite honestly. It's all about love and forgiveness and seeing when somebody is trying to make a right and trying to make the people whole. And I'm not saying by any means, and I don't think Miss White is either, what she did was despicable. It was disgusting. It was awful. It was terrible. It stole from people who were needy and from good services that the church can provide. But I don't think that you throw away the sinner in spite of the sin. I think that you see if a person is trying and attempting to make changes and to do things, we're supposed to forgive and move on. And it's money. And you're right. You're so correct that restitution is supposed to make the victims whole. The church is the victim. The church is not the victim. The church may be the identified victim. The congregation may be the identified victim. It's not the victim. The victim is the community. The victim are the people that we're going to receive the funds, the services, the things that the church was going to graciously and most wonderfully do, because without our churches that can help, a lot of people go in need every day with lots of things and lots of services. And I don't think it's fair, because this is not about retribution. It's not about trying to attack the person who made the mistake and who sinned and committed wrong. It's about trying to make the victims whole and trying to rehabilitate and to improve a person, and to make sure that they don't do this again. This has been going on since 2013. At least that's when the charges were filed, in 2013. How long it went on, I'm not the judge who originally sat on this, because quite honestly, I went over with Miss White. I don't recall, you may have been here sometimes or not. There's been lots more people at multiple different times. But as I stated before, if I was the judge on the case at that time, she'd probably have been in prison. But then that would have been absolutely, the church would have had no ability to get money back, none. Even though restitution is ordered and all of that amount was ordered, if she goes to prison, she sits her time, then the restitution becomes what's called a civil judgment. And then go ahead and try and get that blood out of that turnip, because it's not going to happen. Ms. White was placed on probation for a period of 3 years to give her an opportunity to pay it back. No one in the world, no one ever, not even Judge Cutts, even had an idea or thought that she would really pay it back in 3 years. There's absolutely no way. We're talking $78,000 or some odd dollars. Absolutely no way she could pay that back. She was extended. I've extended her, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 3 times. A lot. It's a lot. I understand. I get the pain that, or the anger, I guess, that the congregation feels. I truly get as a human, as a person. And it is, yep. She took $100, so $100 should be paid back. Fortunately, again, you can't get blood out of a turnip, or I would have ordered, hey, pay it all up front, do what you need to do and take care of it. Now there's no way to do that. Did I believe Miss White was providing excuses and dragging her feet, and even like COVID is an excuse? I did. And I was very harsh on her. I was quite harsh. And I said, I don't care. I probably use those words. I don't care. Not great words to come out of a judge's mouth. But I didn't care because you have to, you owe this.
Right.
You, again, don't owe it to the congregation, who the people seated here today, don't owe it to the congregation or the people that are listening. You owe it to God. You owe it to the people that you've taken food out of their mouths. You've taken diapers out of babies' bottoms. You've taken Christmas presents from kids who may not have the ability to have a good and great Christmas. Those are things that you have done. I went over this previously at the last hearing, and probably a hearing before, that restitution is one of the most difficult parts of criminal cases. Because, especially in our county, people don't have the money. They don't have the money to pay back the money they stole. They don't have the money to pay back, to fix the property. It doesn't make it right. I'm going to tell you, I don't have the facts in my head or the statistics, but most restitution does not get paid. It does not get paid. This is one that I've driven, I've been hard, I've been pushing, I've been in Miss White's face, I've been in her attorney's face, I've been pushing, because this one is one that all cases that involve restitution and all cases that involve victim are ones that need to have special attention. But this one, which affects more than even a handful of people, deserved a whole lot more attention and push. And I extended Ms. White 3 times, when the law is quite clear that it says that failing to pay restitution does not mean you extend probation. There has to be, I have to look to see if there's what's called good faith effort in making back the payment. And it's not even a percentage. I can't even look and say, well, it was $100. The person has paid $50 back, so that's a good faith effort. Or 13%, 50%, 80%, 90%. There's no percentage. Sometimes cases, and people get off probation if they've made no payments towards restitution. It's not fair. It's awful. Restitution is not the punishment part. It's, again, to make the victims whole. I wish I could keep people on probation. I wish I do. I monitor, and I do, and I see, and I make sure that, especially in the big cases, in a case like this where it affects a lot of people, that we do have the monitor, and I do see. And I go through to find her financial information and how much she can pay. She said at the last hearing we had, and even the year before, she can't afford more than what she was paying, the $500 a month. I said, what did I say? I don't care. You'll figure it out. And based upon that, I even increased it more to what I believed she could financially handle. And she said, I'll figure it out. She figured it out. I have statutory law, I have case law, I have everything that is directing that if there's a good faith effort, it doesn't matter how much they've paid, as long as that they have paid to what their capacity to pay is. I must allow discharge.
What was the good faith in the life insurance policy? How many times have they been ordered to do it and declined?
Judge,
Yes.
I initially gave that copy of the life insurance policy to my probation agent when she asked for it. Last year, when Mr. Benson called me, I sent him copies of it. It's actually two policies now because it was cheaper to do it. It's two $25,000 policies because of the fact that before I had $100,000 and I couldn't afford it. It went up when I turned 65 or something to like $264 a month. I can prove that I pay that monthly. I can show you my bank stuff. That every month it's $156 and some odd cents every single month. Comes out of my bank account automatically.
And it will have to continue, even though the issue here is sometimes people think that the criminal court is the way to go completely. It's really not. Because the criminal court goes away at some period of time. But even with restitution, the court can enter a civil judgment. That means that you would have a civil judgment against her, which can be used and filed against any real estate or any other property that's owned. You don't need to go and get a second mortgage, or you don't need to get any of that to go and ensure that the church will get their money. With regards to the life insurance, I know that's been an issue. I've been hounding, the church has been hounding. I don't know the agent because I don't know where Tomahawk is, so I don't have a working relationship.
You're lucky.
I don't have a working relationship with those agents.
It's through AARP, New York Life. And no one's ever, the only call that I've ever gotten was the one that I got from Mr. Benson last year, and I immediately sent him the copy of the insurance policies.
Ms. White, can I ask you,
Yeah.
do you have a problem like sending it directly to the court?
No, if I'm told to send it a certain place, I'm going to send it there.
Because then I can ensure I get it. And then if I get it, then it can be sent to all of the proper parties, like to the church. And then we can make sure that Mr. Benson is in the loop with all of these things, because then we can have that policy. But I understand in the next questions or the next statement is going to be, but how can we ensure that she continues to pay that monthly?
That's right. And is it whole or accidental?
And I don't know, and Ms. White may not know that either, but
Oh, it's not accidental. It's a whole life insurance policy, I believe. Don't they have term and they have whole?
yes.
It's one of those two.
And
I believe it's whole.
here's what can happen. I really truly get the frustration. I get even if we want to say you don't, even if you don't want to admit anger.
Oh, there's people are angry.
Anger. And it's hard to get over anger. It's been 10 years. I don't know, Miss White. I can tell you that at first she was very confrontational. She was very push-backy, but I pushed back just as hard. And I usually have a pretty good gut instinct and a pretty good judge of character. I think she's made some changes in 10 years. I think she's made significant changes in 10 years. She's been on probation. Her probation agent it would be a condition that she is not to go into any casinos or do anything of that nature. Even if she does, I don't know where she's going to have the money to do that. And
It's a yes or no. Have you been in them in 10 years?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not been in them since 2016 when this all started. Before that, yes, I went to them. I have not been in a casino since then. There is no reason for me to go there. I don't have the money to go there, and I'm too busy paying what I got to pay.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm guessing Ms. White, how old are you?
69.
At the age of 69 years old. Didn't realize, I think she feels she majorly messed up and probably ruined her life. I mean, you're building it back up,
Yes.
but I don't believe that this is where you want it to be. at 69.
Not at all. And it's funny how you can get sucked into that, and people who don't have that issue don't understand it. And it was an escape for me from everything. And, you know, what else are you going to do some days?
It's an addiction, just like
Just like drugs,
and
just like alcohol.
And sometimes we gotta have faith.
Hmm.
I'm preaching to the choir.
Yep.
Gotta have faith. And it's hard. It is hard.
Mhm. I just don't understand why the verify, I understand the trust part, but I'm old, but trust and verify,
We
the
don't
verify
even-
is the probation.
God doesn't say trust and verify, does he? God says trust.
Hmm.
Have faith.
Mhm.
Believe.
We did until we lost $78,000.
Again, you're hopping back. You're
I'm just,
not
that's how I see it. And I
looking
think I'm not the
forward.
only one.
And then perhaps this is a lesson for the congregation, multiple lessons for the congregation, but
Mhm.
this is a sermon in and of itself.
Mhm.
Faith, trust, believe. Don't throw, as they say, the baby out with the bathwater. You don't throw away the sinner because of the sin.
Mhm.
And I'm not supposed to be up here preaching. I'm in a state building. I'm not preaching. I'm just saying some of the good teachings that I've grown up with in this beautiful community. And I am one of the first to be harsh, strong, and not necessarily so believing. How many people sit in front of me every day, even with the crocodile tears and I've changed, I've done all of this. I usually have a pretty good gut when it says nope, or it says, you know what? 5 years ago, I would have said, nope, I don't trust her at all. Today, I'm going to say, I'm banking on it. She's going to continue to make her payments. She's going to pay her life insurance. She's going to continue to struggle. And that's part of it too. That's part of working your way back to God. You struggle. So we have to have faith. And if she doesn't, there's other legal recourse. There is. There's civil suits because you know she still owes it. And I'm going to guess right now, and I'm going to have you say right now, though, that if there's a statute of limitations for them coming back for this money, you're not going to fight that or use that as a defense, are you?
No.
No, because you know you owe it, correct?
Yes.
And you're going to pay it, correct?
Yes. My question is, now it's not going to go through the Department of Corrections. So
I get to oversee it all by myself now.
where do you want me to send? And what I will do is just go to the bank and get a money order. Because I'm sure you don't want to check because you'll have fears that it will crack.
It doesn't matter because I am discharging her. She's made the good faith effort. She's paid every month for a year at the increased amount where both she and her attorney said, I can't afford it. I can't do it. She was in tears. I remember all of these hearings. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. And then as she walked out, gosh darn that judge. Gosh darn that judge. But she's made every payment and that's good faith effort. And I can't, if I extend it now, I'm violating my oath to enforce the law as it's told to me and what I need to do. I'm being kind of partial there, not being impartial.
Can I say something, Judge? The biggest difference that has happened for me over the last couple of years is that I don't have any more medical copays because between my insurance and my Medicare, the only thing we have to pay for now is prescriptions. And before that, it was, you know, you walk into the hospital or the doctor's office, sometimes it was $1,000. So that has made a huge difference that I'm not looking at all of that all the time now. That has, you know, made a big difference in my life, maybe to be able, you know, to not have to send, you know, $50 a month to 7 different doctor's offices because that's how it goes. is to have that money to put towards this. And that is huge for me, really huge. Has calmed me down a lot too.
Do you believe in God?
Pardon me?
Do you believe in God?
I do. I go to a really good church in Tomahawk where their mission statement says we are an imperfect church with imperfect people, but God loves us all. And I believe that truly. You know, it was a struggle for me to kind of get there because I really thought that I had been abandoned by not only people, but him. And I'm sorry, I get emotional about it, but I do. And I'm doing good things. You know, it may sound crazy to you, but the latest thing that I'm doing is it's called Quilted Hearts, Acts of Kindness. If you know what they are, you just make hearts and you leave them around for people to get. Because I have so much stash fabric that, you know, it's just bits and pieces, I can make these. And I can make several at a time. And to me, that's a statement of my belief that we need to be good, we need to share, we need to help.
Okay, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
You swear that you are going to use your every effort and every power to pay back every single dime of this to the church.
Yes, I will.
And again, we went over the fact that I am not as concerned about the court costs and fees. And I know there's a lot of surcharges and I may or may not be able to waive those, but I'm not really looking at, not going to throw you in jail for not paying those. But you understand that with every cent owed for the church, that you're going to use all of your efforts to pay back every cent.
Yes.
And that you're going to, and this is in order of the court, that you're going to send the court copies of your insurance policies.
I will send it directly to you.
And the court will then remit them and provide them to the church. Do you also swear under oath and to God here today that you are going to continue to make those monthly payments and keep those life insurance policies in full force and effect?
Yes.
And it may come a time where you can decrease and get rid of one of those policies and just keep one of the $25,000 policies, but you swear that you are not going to terminate or let either of those lapse until you get to until you ensure that you have full coverage for what is still owed.
Yes.
And you will continue to make those payments up and through until either the amount is paid in full or due to your untimely passing.
Yes.
All right. And again, there are other civil recourses that the church can do, and perhaps you can. You may not need to do anything.
Yep, that'd be the perfect situation if you
we're
don't have
going
to do
to-
a thing.
Trust in God with all of our hearts and lean not on our own understandings.
Yep.
In all our ways, acknowledge the Lord. We'll make our path straight. All right.
So you're going to give me the information where to send the payments and where to send everything?
You send it here to our clerk.
Okay. And I can just get that address online.
You can, or they can just go give you a little form or
Okay.
sheet or give you what you
And
need to
then
do.
I've 2 years in a row asked for monthly statements from the church. This year I got one in January, which showed the December payment not being there yet. And I received one in July.
Yes. And
That
there
is
was the
not
church's
quarterly.
understanding that, you know, it's amazing to me how you understand what you ask when it's to your benefit. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. It was asked for
Got you.
quarterly unless the
Not very
pastor was lying to me
Christianly.
yesterday. It was asked for quarterly and he said they did send it twice a year rather than quarterly, and that was a mistake on our part. If you want it quarterly, we'll send it to the court. We'll send it monthly. We don't care.
Send it to the
No,
court.
that's all right.
Here's
Which
what-
one?
Send it to the court.
I'll send it
I
to the
want it.
court. Yep.
I can't hear
Oh, sorry. I'll send it to the court, or the church will send it to the court. Do you want it monthly? You want it quarterly?
I don't need it monthly. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to check it monthly. Every 3 months is
Yep, quarterly's
perfect.
fine.
And then here's the deal now, though. I've discharged her from probation, but it doesn't go into effect until the 7th. So you're still
Right.
being watched and controlled. I oversee this now, and I will look and I will watch and I will monitor. And so if there are issues, then they need to be brought to my attention.
Okay.
And I will look and I will look at the
And it's still 750, correct?
750 right now, yes.
Yep, okay.
And then I will watch that and I will monitor. And if we need to have hearings and we need to figure out what's going on or.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We are adjourned.
All right.